Welcome, honored guests. If you're listening, you have landed on a Toastmaster-inspired podcast. I'm your host, Bernie Martin, and I hope to have some interesting conversations with some interesting people. Join us as we deep dive into some of the topics that people are passionate about. I'm so glad you chose to visit with us on Passionate Pursuits. I am with Melanie Romano. We are at your farm called Peaceful Pastures. And I met you at a retreat for Journey to Heal up in, close to Bryson City. I don't guess we were actually in Bryson City.
Yeah.
Crystal invited you.
We've known each other a little while here in Wilmington. I reached out to her about Peaceful Pastures and maybe coming up here and doing retreats here because I teach Christ-centered yoga. I have a passion for working with women mostly, but I will work with anybody. Anyway, I do women's retreats, and it's just bringing people deeper, connecting them with their bodies, connecting them with the Lord, connecting them with each other. And so I had reached out to her about coming here. I can't remember which happened first. She came to a retreat. She invited me to your retreat to do some yoga. It could have been vice versa. Yeah, that's how I got there.
All right. The group got to know you. We got to participate in some of the yoga classes in the basement of the cabin. That was really cool.
Good.
So, how did you get started? What was your passion that drove you to what we see here?
Well, I started with yoga probably 10, 12 or more years ago. But then about 6 years ago, the Lord said, this is what I want you to do. Teach Christ-centered yoga. So I went through training, and once I did that, I then started doing retreats. Fast forward, for my 50th, I went to Montana to a dude ranch. So I had horses growing up. Sorry, this is going to be all over the place.
That's okay.
Had horses growing up. At 25, I gave them away, moved here, had a family. Didn't think horses were ever going to be part of my life again. Wished that they would be. 50th bucket list, went to Montana to a dude ranch.
A dude ranch. That's hilarious.
Took my husband. He loved it. And when we were there, I was like, wouldn't it be nice to have a place close to the coast? We didn't have to drive to the mountains, where I could do retreats and we could have horses and, just combine the whole thing. And lots of different things happened. But we said, 5 year, we'll put this 5 year thing. We'll see what happens. Well, the Lord made it 5 months.
Wow.
It's all about Him. We ended up here. There's a lot to it. Do you want to know how that? Okay. We were already in North Carolina. We were in Wilmington.
Okay.
We are now in Rocky Point. But it's a whole different world. This is how it started. Our trail guide at the dude ranch said, Jimmy, what's the plan for the rest of your life? And Jimmy's my husband, he said, well, Melanie says I can slow down when I'm 60. He goes, wow, that doesn't sound like too much fun. And I said, well, wait, if we changed our lives a little bit, our lifestyle, then that could be different. So that started our discussion. And we were like, 5 year plan. We get home and we're still talking about it. Jimmy finds out about a property, so we go look at it, and that started us looking throughout the summer. During the summer, I went to a book study on women in ministry, and one of the ladies that spoke has the gift of prophecy.
Okay.
And I am real cautious. When she said that, I was like, Lord, whatever comes from her, please let it be of you. She prayed over me, and she said, I see horses. She had no idea. And I do see hurdles, but I see the word champion over the whole thing. And I said, you had me at horses. So that was summertime. Then the home we lived in, we were on a street that was you walk down and you're on the intercoastal.
Okay.
So we had this beautiful place to live. But behind our house, there was this empty lot that I said, if that ever sells, we can't live here, because people would have been right in our face. Fast forward, my sister lives in Italy. She's a missionary. So we went to visit her that fall. We were there for 2 weeks. Last night that we're there, my dad had put Zillow on my phone, and for some reason I had Wi-Fi, and up pops, what do you think it is?
Just randomly.
Randomly, the lot behind my house.
The property.
For sale.
Yep.
And I was like, Jimmy, we do have to move. Like, the Lord is really moving us. So we come back, and I went on a retreat for Christ-centered yoga instructors. And we're at this retreat, and my instructor there, she has us working on what is the Lord telling you need to let go of. And my one word that year was surrender. And I'm like, well, I've already surrendered everything. The word he gave me was ease. And I was like, what do you mean by ease? So I wrote it on this rock and threw it in the river. We were in New Bern, North Carolina.
Okay.
And she said, does anyone want to tell us what word? And I was like, I guess I'm supposed to. And so what he revealed as I was speaking was, it's not that he doesn't want me to have a life of ease. He doesn't want me to put ease above him.
Okay.
So you can't have ease as your idol. Like, okay. I come home. We have an offer on this house and this property. And they say, nope, we're not taking your offer. Don't even come back.
For this property?
For this property.
Okay.
We had seen several properties. This one came up. We came and looked at it, and we were like, wow, it even has a nice house. The other properties did not.
So were all of, was this already here?
The barn
all
was
of the building
here,
was
so
here?
There's a barn, there's an outdoor kitchen, just everything. It didn't have any fencing at all, or stalls in the barn. That was more of a shed, but they reject us. Like, okay, well, it's not sold until it's sold. A few weeks go by, we're going to look at another place. And throughout this whole time, we never told anyone. Because I said, I don't want people's opinions. I want the Lord to be directing us.
Okay.
And we get a call from our realtor, and she says, well, we're going to go look at this other place. But I want you to know that they just called us from that Highway 210 house, and they're countering for only a little bit more than what you had offered when they weren't going to do that. And I was like, oh. And that was it. So we said, we're going to do it.
So you didn't even go look at the second property?
We did look at the second property.
Okay.
But we realized it was I didn't want to be far from the water. We are 5 miles, maybe 6 from the water. So we have the best of both. So we have the water and we have the country. And so we went through a lot of hurdles, going back to that prophetic word. Lots of hurdles to get in the house. It was kind of difficult, but we got here. My husband was very anxious, and it was a hard time, but the Lord spoke to him through it, and now he can't wait to come home. He's like, I can't wait to be at home. Sit here. We were like, okay, so the new year, my one word for the year was follow. Okay. So the year before was surrender, this year's follow, or last year now, but like, okay, Lord, I'm going to follow you, whatever. So he got us into the house in January. And somewhere in the spring, I forgot I was following. And I decided I would lead. Said, no. Hello, remember? And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Okay, no horses. We'll just get the retreat center going. I wanted to finish above the barn and make it so that we could have people come and stay. And so within a couple of weeks, I ended up at a neighbor's house. She had horses, walked her property with her and talked to her for a little bit. And later that day, she sent me a text and said, how'd you like to get to know Piper, one of the horses? And I was like, I'd love to. And I was like, Lord, I don't even have to buy a horse. You're giving me a horse. I gave the horse up. You're giving me the horse to ride. So she's then, within days, she's like, well, your husband can ride Sammy. So you'll both have a horse. I was like, 2 horses. Okay, Lord. So about a few weeks, I guess, went by, and I hadn't gotten Jimmy over there yet, just because of work and things. And so we had someone a contractor come look at the barn. And when I finished with him, basically, I said, so you're telling me I should wait? And he said, if you were my wife, I'd wait, because it was going to be way too much money. And normally I'm going to figure it out, and it's going to get done, okay? But Jimmy and I were like, okay, well, it's okay. It's going to be okay. There's 2 big bedrooms in our house upstairs with bathrooms that we now use for retreats because we were like, well, we can actually use our home, So, but that day we didn't figure that out. We were like, it's going to be okay. So that was the day I was taking him to meet Sammy. So we go over to the neighbor's farm. We get there and he meets Piper and he meets Sammy. And she says, I'm going to downsize. And Philip, there's a cowboy that lives over there. He's going to kind of take over and lease my farm. And so she says, so, Piper was a rescue. She said, you rescue, you rehab, and you rehome. And she's had her for about 8 years. I just have not found the right person for her. She says, I think you're Piper's person and I want you to have her.
Oh, my. Yeah, that's awesome.
And she said, but there's a catch. Sammy has to go too because they're best friends. And I said, well, we really need to pray about this. And so I told her about how I had let the horse thing go, and she was not a believer, but she said, well, maybe the horse is supposed to come before the cart. And I was like, okay. So we left, came home, prayed about it, and the next day, later in the day, I called Jimmy and said, what do you think? And he said, who gives somebody 2 horses? Okay, so we said, well, we're building fences. So we started building fences, and a month later, they were here. But in the meantime, I got to know Jo. She got to know that I teach yoga, and she has some ailments. Well, I want to come to your yoga. Well, Jo got Jesus. She gets Jesus once or twice a week now, which she never had before. God is good. Like, if that's all that it was about, it's about bringing her to him. So there is more. I learned about Piper. She said, well, Piper, this is her mother, Dash. Her great-great-grandfather is Dash for Cash. He was a champion. Do you remember the word?
Wait, I remember that word, yes.
Yeah. So, it's all God.
Yeah.
So my passion is for women and horses and yoga and God. Overall, it's people knowing Jesus.
Yeah. Let's talk about the yoga concept for just a minute, because I know it's changed over the last several years, but early on, as soon as somebody mentioned yoga, it was like, that does not mix with Christianity, right? So tell me a little bit about that picture and what that looks like in mixing yoga with faith.
Well, I went through training with Holy Yoga and learned a lot there. So the reason I wanted to do yoga is I've had a tumor in my neck removed, and I have rods and screws, and I was in a lot of pain, and only yoga was fixing it. But my spirit was just not having it when I would go in these classes. There was just such conflict. And I left a class one Saturday, picked up my phone, Google, driving down the road. I'm like, is there not Christian yoga? And up pops Holy Yoga. And so that's where the Lord started that journey for me. But, this is an easy way to put it is all different forms of religion pray, right? So should we not pray? Right? Just because another religion has taken on a type of movement doesn't mean that we can't do the movement. So for me, everything I do is for the glory of God. I don't use the Sanskrit wording. I do say warrior 1, warrior 2, but really what it's about is my Sermon on the Mat that I give. It's about bringing Jesus to people and bringing them closer. It's almost like a coaching. I'm coaching and counseling all through, and there's worship, music, and we're singing, and we're just praising the Lord. And I think that people that can't get past the word yoga, maybe it just isn't for them.
True.
And it's stretching. You could call it, there's so many things you can call it, but for me it's Christ-centered yoga.
Yeah. Very, very cool to know that is connected with the overall health of the body, spiritual and physical. So very cool.
Heart, soul, mind, and strength.
So what does a typical retreat look like for you?
Well, I have ladies that will come and have their own retreat, and I get to cook. So I do that. I set up and get ready for them to come. We will set up a table outside and sit under the lights if it's a beautiful night, or they'll sit at my table in the house. If I lead a retreat, and that could be any kind of retreat. Journey to Heal could come and have a retreat with, it's a smaller, intimate setting. Right now we can sleep 8 plus a leader. Soon we'll be able to sleep 6 more.
Okay.
When I am leading the retreat, we do yoga. We incorporate the horses. We take a prayer journey, I call it, a walk through the woods, maybe a 5 senses prayer that we have. There's time for rest. There are workshops. There's usually some kind of connecting activity that we do together.
So is it always like groups that are already familiar with each other, or do you just take people who've never met and say you just fill up 8
All
spots?
of the above.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's fun when someone comes that you don't know. It really
you
is.
You get to know people,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the horses.
Okay.
How many horses do you have currently?
So I have 2. We have Piper and Sammy,
Which are the original?
which are the 2 originals.
Okay.
Sammy is like a golden retriever, people have called him. He will just put him in the backyard and he'll hang out and eat the grass and doesn't go anywhere. Piper has been through a lot in her life. You could look up, there's an article out there, Pennies for Piper, and it tells her story from when she was just a foal. So she's more of a one-on-one with me. She and I are working hard to trust each other, and have respect for each other, and we're getting there. It's good. It's been a long road. It's been lots of hurdles.
Yes. So how long have you had the 2 originals?
I think May 1st they came, so almost a year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We have 2 boarders here right now that are actually getting ready to move. Mm-hmm. We have 3 miniature Jerusalem donkeys.
Really?
Pedro, Mary Jane, and Florence. Florence was born during the eye of Hurricane Florence.
Okay.
Mary Jane was born at Christmas. And Pedro, he's about 11 months older than Florence. So they're about 5.5, 4.5, and 5.5, something like that. And they were rescues as well.
Okay.
So they've come to live here, live out their lives here too. And they bring such peace.
So do you have plans to expand, like the number of horses, or what do you see for the future?
I think that I'm putting that all in the hands of the Lord. We have been boarding those other 2 horses for 6 months, and it's been a little bit of a challenge. Mm-hmm. I've recognized that I'm almost 52, and it's a lot of work. So I'm going to take a little break from any more than the 5 out there.
Gotcha.
And see what the Lord does with that. But yeah, I'm going through some training for biblically based equine assist therapy, horsemanship. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure exactly how the Lord will use that, but I'm willing and walking forward. Yeah. My one word this year is dwell, so I'm trying to dwell here and just take all in everything that He has given us.
Mm-hmm. It's good stuff.
Okay. I do have info, it's in my phone. This is Yoga and Christianity. I could read it. If you look back at just yoga, you would see that it was already established before Hinduism, at least 1,000 years. And people don't know that. Yoga was not created by Hindus, but was indeed co-opted by Hindus as a major part of their religion. So yoga is not a religion, although Eastern religions have adapted it as part of their religious practice. In particular, Hindu religion relies heavily on the ancient practice. That's just something, when I first started teaching, I did have to have something to tell people, mm-hmm. Because they were worried when you said the word yoga. Mm-hmm. So,
right.
Yeah.
And I personally have had some exposure, like with you and some others, even locally where I am in Georgia, that have used yoga as a form of ministry. And even, when I again first heard about it, I was like, can you do that?
Yeah. Oh, same.
Is that legal?
Right.
Spiritually speaking. So
I grew up with like yoga. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And with the equestrian venture. So one of the interesting things when we went to, Crystal took us on a retreat to Bob Goff's place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what he does there is very similar to what you're talking about.
I know.
Here.
I think it's a bigger scale, but I'm actually reading his Undistracted book right now, and I'm like, oh, Bob, we should be friends.
Yes. Sounds like you need to be.
Yeah.
And maybe if that opportunity comes up, you could venture out.
Yeah, I would
visit.
love to do that. Yeah.
Very excited and impressed, and all of that for what you've got going on here.
Thanks.
And sounds like you have a passionate heart. And that's what I was after, is getting that passion.
Thank you
for what you do. So ministering to women, has that always been a part of the picture, or how did you come into that?
If I really look back, I had a not so great marriage that ended. I don't know how many years ago now, probably 20. And I started cleaning people's houses. Because I wanted to be with my girls. I had 2 little girls, and I was like, what can I do? I started cleaning houses, so I was able to take them to school, pick them up from school. Well, within a few months, I needed help because it was word of mouth. I had too many houses to clean. So I started hiring women, not purposely, but they ended up being single moms, women that needed, and I think that that's kind of where that started. I haven't really dug into that, but started caring for these younger single moms that didn't have a whole lot and kind of taking care of them. And it may be there. I don't know. I mean, I'm the oldest of 5, so and we're all girls, so I think that from the very beginning I've kind of been...
you've always had kind of a nurturing...
Right.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, Melanie, thank you for taking the time to talk with us, for this episode of Finding Your Passion.
Thanks for thinking about me.
And if you're ever in North Carolina and want to do a retreat, do you have a website?
I do.
Tell them your website.
I have 2, actually. So www.betransformedyogastudio.com.
Okay.
And www.peaceful-pastures.com.
Awesome. I highly recommend if you ever get out this way, or if you're not out this way and just need a retreat.
Yes.
So Melanie, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.